When it comes to the Halo games, sometimes the physics, while not always making sense, are some of the best and most fun things about the game. Just the way you interact with the sandbox as you play through a Halo game is something that we've always loved. But sometimes, things just don't make any sense whatsoever. And with how much we play Halo, we've definitely seen a thing or two when it comes to interesting Halo physics, to say the least. So we wanted to take a look at some of our favorite oddities that happen whenever we've played Halo in the past. Okay, I just want to start off with one of my own personal favorite ones from Halo 3 ODST, but with Virgil flying around at the end of Data Hive and into Coastal Highway, one of my favorite things to do is to stand on top of Virgil. I swear there is a way you can steer him if you stand on the exact right part of his body thing. Like if you lean a little bit to the back, he'll go forward, and if you lean a little left, he'll go right, and you can kind of get a feel for it. Now all of this is besides the point, because the main thing is that when I was trying to learn how to tame my own personal Virgil, when I was on Coastal Highway, somehow I got Virgil stuck a little bit too close to the floor, and his tentacles started going full on DJ dubstep mode, and things can get violent pretty quickly. Matter of fact, this one is one I found a while back, and it's pretty easy to recreate, so if you ever want to just see DJ Virgil spinning his tentacles out of control with enough velocity to launch a player to his own death, yeah, on Coastal Highway at the end firefight area, just try standing on Virgil a bit until he starts to get too close to the ground, and you'll see him start remixing some music or something. Okay, this next one is a goodie and a classic, and this is one that you have to show every new player who jumps into Halo and is starting to learn the ropes of the game, but it definitely is on Halo Reach Powerhouse. If you go over to the showers in this corner, there's this little wall partition thing, and if you jump up on there and then jump again, for whatever reason, the game will just pressure launch you right into the wall at a very high speed. It's absolutely pointless, but hilarious at the same time. Going over to Halo 3, there is, of course, the iconic dumpster on the Storm, where if two players jump inside of the dumpster while it's upside down, and they coordinate their jumps together, you can actually have the dumpster take off into the sky, and you can fly it through the air. We've done this on more than one occasion. You can even go as far as boarding the Scarab with the dumpster, which is definitely a unique way to board the Scarab, and it's probably one of my favorite vehicles that aren't supposed to be vehicles in all of Halo. Or at least it would be my favorite if there weren't the amazing hot air balloons in Halo Reach. Okay, so in Halo Reach, if you go into Forge mode and you grab one of the vehicle gravity lifts and you phase it through some sort of object, usually the little two-story tower works really well, and then you hold onto the building, drop the building, and quickly hold on to the grav lift, changing its physics to normal, and let it go. The building, which hasn't locked into its final location in Forge, will continue to act as a movable object because it's being pushed by the grav lift, and thus we have this building that is carrying a grav lift that is pushing the building. It's really interesting, but it can be really hilarious to just ride inside the building and see where it takes you. Trying to see how long you can survive in the building before it completely just slams you out because you hit some sort of barrier, or you crash and flip or fall out of the building can be really fun, and this is just one of those pointless things that I absolutely love about the sandbox when it comes to Halo Reach. Okay, and then another time we were playing on Halo 3 ODST, and we're just doing Coastal Highway. It's a good level, it's not too bad to play on, but for whatever reason, we shot the Gauss Hog at a Phantom, and the Phantom just started acting and behaving a little bit weird, and we don't really know fully why or how this happened. We think it's something that's been caused somehow in the Master Chief Collection in an update a little while back, but for whatever reason, if you play through ODST nowadays, the Phantoms have some weird extra oddities that they may not have had in the original release of the game, and because of this, you can sometimes just see the Phantom gliding around or having these really weird physics effects like this that we really don't even have the words to explain, but it is really interesting to look at and kind of hilarious when it starts going upside down and whatnot. Another time we were playing on Uplift Reserve, and these brutes just for whatever reason got stuck right here going up the grav lift. I just think little things like this are often hilarious. Also, if you do that Scarab glitch onto the Ark where you board the Scarab early and then knock the Scarab out when it's in the out of bounds section, it just seems like the legs start clipping into the ground and come to life, and it's absolutely terrifying, and hilarious at the same time. One thing that has been iconic when it comes down to Halo 2 is definitely just the general amount of sword flying glitches that exist. It was just really fun how in Halo 2, the way that the sword did this lunge mechanic could allow for some things to be manipulated, where you could either cancel your sword swing and just continue going in a far direction, or at other times using a sword swing to land up on an area you're not supposed to get to is often something we thought was pretty fun, and it kind of was a staple when people were trying to do things and break Halo in one way or another back in the Halo 2 days. Also in Halo 2, we've talked about this on this channel before, but on the level Gravemind, when you get to the part where you go into the grav lift that usually takes you down to the prison where you have to save all of the Marines, you can bypass this part by either, if you have a skull on like the Feather Skull, bouncing yourself up with a brute shot, or if you don't and you're doing something like Lasso, you can actually somehow drive a brute by doing an assassination cancel at the right time to take you back up the grav lift that's supposed to be going down and land perfectly on just the correct level after you would do the prison part and skip that whole section while you're at it. Speaking of broken elevators, on the level the Oracle, there is one elevator glitch you can do where you have an elevator go up part of the way and then come back down and clip through with the player who's standing under the elevator, which will then cause the player to pressure launch all the way up to the upper area, and the player will be invincible. Then the rest of the level is really interesting because there's RNG based on how little of gravity you'll end up having in the next part of the level. We've had it where we had barely any gravity and it was really difficult to try to maneuver around. Or other times it's just less gravity and you can kind of make your way through the rest of the level. Also, when we were doing the video where we were counting the grunts in Halo Reach on New Alexandria, I was kind of messing around in the building where you take the elevator up to the upper level, and I realized I could kind of stand in this opening gap right after the elevator opens up. There's just this drop that's here, which we thought was a little dangerous. So while we were joking and looking at that, we actually had the elevator doors close on me, and I was stuck on the outside of the elevator being pulled down by the elevator, even though I wasn't inside of the elevator. And when we hit the bottom, the game pressure launched me all the way back up, and I fell to my death. But it was really interesting and one that I did not expect to happen. In Halo Combat Evolved, physics are already something that are kind of interesting. I mean, sometimes I like to just take some ghosts and just drive around on Japhyrophobia because you can flip around and just get some massive air just because of the way that these ghosts were programmed. Matter of fact, on Death Island, you can actually take a ghost and just kind of ride the ghost sideways out into the water and slam it into the invisible barrier. And if you jump out at just the right time, the ghost will push your Spartan through the barrier and boom, you're way outside of the map and you can walk around for a while, and if you crouch, you get stuck under the water, and that was something we thought was really interesting. The other day, our friend Tepig from Halo Creation showed us this one, and seriously, huge shout out to everyone over there. They're definitely the #1 best Halo French community, and Tepig's always helped us with so many of these videos, showing us some really awesome tricks. But when Tepig was doing the glitch with us, he started doing this interesting and funny can type dance. I don't know, it was pretty great. Also, another glitch Tepig showed us was on the level Tip of the Spear. Tepig did this big glitch where we got the Warthog out of bounds. He drove us kind of around this area and manipulated the checkpoints so that we would be able to consistently try again if we messed up on something. Then he dropped the Warthog into this area where there was no ground, which was already interesting enough for this video. And then from there, somehow he dropped the Warthog down on top of this Pelican and had Luke and I stand at the front of the Warthog while spamming our change weapon button, and in that time Tepig ran off to go hit a loading sequence, which then despawned the Pelican, resulting in Luke and I just being thrown through the air like we were in some sort of Mint Blitz video. It was pretty crazy. On Reach, on the level the Pillar of Autumn, if you jump on the backseat of the Mongoose right by the jump that you're supposed to make in the Mongoose and you let Emil drive, it doesn't matter if you're moving at no speed whatsoever, his Mongoose will just yeet across the gap, taking you over successfully, which I just love this glitch for some reason. It just really shows Halo physics at its absolute best. Now, this is a glitch that occurs in a lot of different Halo games, but it's just the best in Halo 3. But the way the physics engine works often is the body will stretch a little bit to do some maneuvers that are realistic and in accordance to technically what is happening with the force that a body is pushed at. But the way that the bodies will snap back together and stretch apart without breaking can be absolutely hilarious hilarious, especially if you go into theater mode and you just watch very slowly how when a giant block from Forge mode hits a Spartan, how the body will go flying and spread apart into all of these pieces. But since Spartans can't actually go splat, instead they come back together. You could just get some really hilarious slow motion moments by messing around with this in Forge mode, and it's still one of my favorite examples of Halo physics. Another time when we were counting grunts on the level Kazingo Boulevard, there was a Phantom that had just dropped off a Wraith that we thought we had destroyed, but instead it was just sitting there undestroyed on top of the Wraith, just chilling there. It was really interesting. All of the Marines are still shooting at it, but it definitely was dead. At least we thought. We weren't really sure what was going on, but if you shoot at it for a while, it will eventually just kind of float on off like a balloon or something, which is just as bizarre as the fact that it was just sitting there in general. Then on Kikowani Station, you can actually make a Phantom spin around a little bit like a Beyblade if you fly your Banshee to one of the later levels and boost down on the Phantom before it starts to take away. The Phantom will instead slam into a wall and kind of does some donuts and spins around for a bit on its back, which is just really hilarious to take a look at. But you can do even more Phantom craziness in ODST on Mombasa streets, where if you get out of the map with your Mongoose and drive up to a Phantom that's just chilling there, you can launch yourself onto the turret while another player respawns, and that Phantom will just go out of control. On Teari Plaza, you can make a party bus by taking this giant bus and pushing it onto the gravity lift, and it'll just kind of float there and chill, and it's just kind of funny, and you can stand on it and, I don't know, do things, I guess. Yeah. And then over on Halo 3 on the level Citadel, this is a newer one discovered by Hidden Reach and Hark the Shark. But if you stand in a specific corner in the middle of the map and force yourself into the geometry, you can lunge at another player, which will then push you to fall down through the glass into the lower area. But still, it's actually a really cool thing that you can do without having to do some sort of Forge glitch to go through the geometry. You can just do it in game. What weird instances of Halo physics have you interacted with over the course of your Halo playthroughs? Let us know what's happened in the comments down below. Also, be sure to subscribe for more videos like this. Double check you are subscribed so you're not missing out on this excellent content. But that's it for today. We'll see you next time with a new video.